foundational values of civil services, or you can say, what are the foundation values of a civil servant? Okay, so before that, we have to know what is aptitude and what is attitude. Aptitude can be defined as a natural or inherent talent to acquire a certain skill or ability in the future through appropriate training. Aptitude can be both mentals as well as physicals. So, means what? That aptitude we already have, right? We already have, or we can say it is a kind of inherent talent to acquire a certain skill or ability, right? Now, with aptitude, you can solve a problem, but thing is that what is your view towards that particular problem? That is attitude. So this means what? Um, let me first let me tell you about the classification of aptitude, like civil service aptitude, intellectual aptitude, moral aptitude, emotional aptitude. These are the different types of aptitude. You also know that in our civil service examination, one paper is basically for aptitude, where you need to go through different mathematical based aptitude problems and also logical or English based some problems. There you need aptitude to solve those problems. But attitude means what's your view on a particular problem, or what's your view? Suppose you have cracked the civil service examination, say APSc or UPSC. But the thing is that because of your aptitude, you have cracked the examination, but you actually don't want to be don't want to be a civil servant. Just because of your parents' suggestions or your parents' rules, you have appeared for the exam, you crack it. But what happened after getting into civil servant? Can you be a good civil servant? No, because your attitude is different. You want to be a businessman, suppose, or you want to be a corporate leader. Then going into the different field where your attitude is kind of negative, or you don't want to be like, don't want to do that particular job, is harmful. Means you are not going to be a successful civil servant, right? So that is attitude. Now I hope you have got it. So let me tell you the differences between attitude and aptitude. You can here see that aptitude is mean ability to do something, and that can be artistic aptitude or numerical aptitude. Numerical aptitude means solving a problem, right? And artistic means some kind of skill you require. So suppose you are say uh, creating an idol, right? That is a kind of artistic attitude. Suppose you are drawing a picture and that picture depicts some kind of natural scene, so that is again an artistic aptitude, right? That is artistic aptitude. And numerical aptitude means you are solving a problem. So these two types of aptitude. Then we just discussed about civil service aptitude or different types of aptitude. Emotional aptitude. Now attitude means what? Posture towards something or someone. That can be either negative or that can be either altruistic or positive, right? So while attitude is positive, negative, or indifferent feeling towards a person, object, event, or idea, but aptitude is a competency to do certain kind of work. Both aptitude and attitude can be nurtured, right? While attitude is associated with character or virtues, aptitude is associated with what? Competence. Because you have the aptitude means you have the competence to solve that problem. While attitude underpins the character, virtues, and moral values. Aptitude determines if the person would develop desired skill to do a task. So always remember, attitude is associated with character, virtue, and some moral values, while aptitude is associated with skill to do a particular task. So while attitude is only mental, remember, attitude is only mental, your feeling towards a person or an object or any event or idea. But aptitude can be both mental, Suppose mental ability to solve a problem, or both physical also. Suppose you need to do some physical tasks. Suppose you are running, that is a kind of physical based aptitude test. You have to go through high jumps. That is a kind of physical aptitude. Got it? So remember always that we have attitude as mental ability, or mental and aptitude is what? Both mental and physical. Aptitude can be both mental and physical. I hope now the difference is clear to you. Now let's come to define values. What are values? Values are the standards on which we evaluate some things. So means these are the values based on which we evaluate a particular thing. For every situation, we don't have time to test the case on ethical theories such as utilitarianism. Right. Values provide a time-saving shortcut in such situation. For example, political neutrality is one value of civil service. Means you should not just hang towards, or you should not make yourself attached to a particular political party. You should be politically neutral. That is a kind of value that should be there with a civil servant. Got it? So the values are the standards on which we evaluate things. Now, what are the foundational values of civil service? Or we can say, what are the core values of civil services? Civil or public services values are those values which are created and sustained by the government on behalf of the public. And these are the principles on which government and policies should be based on. In India, civil service values have evolved over years of tradition. Values like integrity, devotion to duty, etc., they have been mentioned in the Central Civil Services Conduct Rules 1964 and the All India Services Conduct Rules 1968, which a civil servant must follow in his or her tenure of service to the nation. Remember that might be asked in the interview, that what are those rules that a civil servant should go through to be aware with, or to acquire some kind of values while doing or while serving for the nation as a civil servant. And they are Central Civil Services Conduct Rules 1964 and All India Services Conduct Rules 1968. Meanwhile, also the Draft Public Service Bill 2007 enumerated certain values which should guide the public servants in the discharge of their functions. Now, if question asks that what are the ethical values of a civil servant, there are 5 ethical traits, or there are 5 ethical attributes, or you can say there are 5 ethical values, and they are integrity, compassion, accountability, objectivity, selflessness. If someone asks you what are the core values that a civil servant should have, then these are 5 ethical traits or 5 core values, and they are integrity, compassion, accountability, objectivity, and selflessness. They form the ethical foundation of a civil servant, and other values like non-partisanship, tolerance, responsiveness, they can emanate from them. So basically, these are the major one: integrity, compassion, accountability, objectivity, and selflessness. Now we have a committee known as Nolan Committee, and it also recommended some values for civil servants. And they these values, or you can say some principles, they are being recommended by Nolan Committee in 1995. And what are they? There are 7 such principles. You can see here in the picture: selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, and leadership. These are the 7 principles. Now, let's define each of them. Selflessness. We just see that if we consider only the core values of a civil servant, then they are integrity, compassion, accountability, objectivity, and selflessness. And in case of Nolan Committee also, we have this like selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, and openness. And other 2 of honesty and leadership is associated with that Nolan Committee. So selflessness means what? Decisions should only be made in the public interest by those holding public office. For the sake of obtaining money or some kind of other material advantage for themselves, their families, or other friends, they should not do this. So if you are a civil servant, whatever you make, whatever decision you made, that should be only made for the public interest, not for your personal interest. Then integrity, holders of public office should not obligate themselves in any way, whether financially or otherwise, to outside parties who could have an impact on how they carry out their official obligation. So you should not obligate towards any party, or any party means an outside party, either because of financial or other point of view or other reason. You should not be obligated towards those other parties, because if you do so, that will impact what will be your official obligations. Okay, what will be your obligation means that those may be diverted by their personal interests, right? Then objectivity means public officials should base their decision on merits while doing public business, including public appointments, contract awards, and recommendation for incentives and perks. Then accountability, civil servants are subjected to the scrutiny that is appropriate to their position and must answer to the public for their choices and conduct. Then openness, all choices and acts that public office holder to should be as transparent as possible. Means they should be transparent, or openness should be there. While the larger public interest plainly requires is they should provide justification for their choices and only restrict information when necessary, unless and until some kind of very much needed of confidentiality occurs. You should actually means make your decision open to all. Then honesty, public officials have a responsibility to declare any private interest that may conflict with their official obligation and to handle such conflicts in a way that protects the public interest. So you should be very honest with that. Then leadership should be used by the public authorities to promote and support this idea. So you have seen these are the 7 principles of Nolan's committees. For a good civil servant, these values should be there with them: selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, and leadership. I hope each and every such these values are now clear to you, that what they mean, what is exactly they are. Then we have another commission which also gives suggestion for some of the core values for civil servant, and that is 10th report of the second administrative reform commission. Okay, what are they? They are integrity. So see, integrity is everywhere. So integrity means what you speak, you have to do. You should not divert from what you have promised, right? So integrity refers to the ability of an individual to remain consistent and dedicated to his personal and professional values and beliefs. It means adopting similar standards or moral principles in similar situations across time and interested parties. So in other words, we can say that it means to be honest and consistent in thought, speech, and action. Whatever your thought, that should come out with as a speech, and that speech should turn into action. I mean, they all are associated. They should not differ from each other, right? It is a quality of eliminating the gap between what we think, what we say, and what we do. Means what you as a civil servant think should be what exactly you speak, and that's exactly what you are going to do. A man of integrity is never influenced by contentions and pressures from outside. Means obligation should not be should not force you to do something else for others' interests, and would only respond to his conscience. Means if you are a good civil servant, you will only respond to your conscience. Okay, that is integrity. A honest people may make mistake, but an integrity people hardly makes mistakes, right? Then impartiality. Impartiality is a kind of characteristic or quality of making decision without bias and prejudice. So biasness should not be there. Whatever you make, you are making decisions, then that should not be biased. Means if you are doing, or if you are making a decision in favor of a party A, then that is going to be a biased one. Okay, that should not be, right? So you have to be very much impartial while making such decisions. An instance of impartiality is one in which there is no favoritism. Favoritism should not be there. It rejects granting an undue advantage to any individual, societal group, or organization. Being impartial means that all choices should only based on merit. Remember, being impartial means all choices should only be based on merit. Okay. Then non-partisanship. Non-partisanship means what? It is known by its act of not supporting any political party, even if one strongly agrees with its ideals. Non-partisanship is the absence of adherence to ideals of any political party, organization, or group. Suppose you are your belief or you strongly agreed with the agenda of a political party, say X, but if you have the non-partisanship as a civil servant value with you, then you are not going to show it or you are not going to support that political party, because that will imply some kind of biasness, or you are just means your own interests. Your decision will be means like you know, supporting your own interests. So that should not be. You should support only that thing which is by constitutionally correct and also which is based on merit. So non-partisanship should be there. You should not be supporting any political party, no matter how strongly you agree with its ideals. Then objectivity. Objectivity is recognized as one of the most crucial characteristics in governance. It requires institutions to adhere to logic, law, and establish standards, practices, and norms. So you see, objectivity is directly related to logic, law, and some standard. Objectivity means being true in spite of one's feeling, ideas, and belief. It allows public officials to make wise judgments based on data. So objectivity means you are having that ability to make or make judgment on the basis of logic, not not on just basis of feelings. You are making decisions only by with respect to some true logic or some constitutional law or an established standard. That is objectivity. Then dedication to public service, very important, because dedication is the quality of being motivated in one's profession, purpose, vision, or actions. Dedicated public servants strive to accomplish the goals set by the administration. An inner drive and excitement for working in the greater good of the public is implied by the dedication to public service. Without any external formal technique to drive that desire, it is the commitment, passion, and sincere desire to achieve something that counts. So that's why, in civil service examination, a very common question is like, why do you want to be a civil servant? Suppose you already did a very good academic performance in your academic throughout your academic degrees, then why you want to be a civil servant? Why you are not going to that particular specialization you have done in your degree courses or master degree or whatever, PhD or like that? Then your answer should be that you have a passion. You have a passion towards the civil servant, because this job is kind of not monotonous. Not a kind of means monotonous means what? It is not just one dimensional. You will have the opportunity to work in different fields. Means the many dimensions are associated with the civil servant job. So you have the passion to work as a civil servant. You have the passion to serve for the nation and for the welfare of the society. That's why you want to be a civil servant. So that should be the answer. So dedication to public service should be there. Then only a good civil servant can be out of your personal identity, right? Or your from yourself. Okay, then empathy. Empathy means the capacity to perceive and appreciate others people's experiences and feeling. So okay, so empathy means you can understand what that particular person is experiencing right now in that situation. Means you can imagine yourself in that situation, that, and you can feel the pain if that particular person is experiencing pain, or you can feel the happiness if that person is experiencing like that. So that is the empathy, potential to comprehend another person's mental status and creatively experience another person's sentiment. Then tolerance, very much important. You know, we have been surrounded by different peoples while we are doing or working as a civil servants, and all of those people should not, the ideals should may not be alike with your own thinking or with your own ideal. But you should have the tolerance to accept all others' views and work with such means diverse ideas or diverse views from those different peoples. That is a tolerance, right? So ability to accept and tolerate differences in others, even when you disagree with them. Sometimes you maybe disagree with them, but you have to tolerate that. You have to accept that, and that can be considered as a very good civil service value, right? Tolerance makes it possible for people to live in a harmony. People's resilience in the face of a variety of ideas and beliefs demonstrates their tolerance. Learning more about other viewpoints and concepts from across the world can help you comprehend the world more clearly. See, 10 fingers may not be alike. So you have to build within you a kind of tolerance if you want to be a good civil servant, so that you can accept and tolerate different view from different persons. Then compassion. So it is a step ahead of empathy. So it is a deeper level of empathy, demonstrating an actual desire to help the suffering person. Now, if you have compassion, it is not just that you are only feeling what that particular person is experiencing, but you also will have a desire to do something for that person who is suffering. See, this compassion is one step ahead of empathy. It is a unique feeling of sympathy for the suffering of others that involves emotion and empathy towards others and a sense of understanding and drive to protect. Got it? So we as a civil servant should have compassion with us. So these are some very important values suggested by this 10th report of second administrative reforms. What are they? Shortly, I'm telling it to you again. Integrity, what you say, what you think, what you say, and what you do. That should be consistent. Impartiality, you should not be biased. Your decision should not be biased. Non-partisanship, you should not support any political party, although you may have strong belief on or strongly agree with that, with the ideals of that party. Objectivity means based on logic, not just based on feelings, right? Dedication to the public service, very straightforward. Empathy means you can experience the feelings, or you can feel what a different person experience in a particular situation. You can feel that. That is the capacity which is known as empathy. Tolerance, ability to accept and tolerate differences in others. Compassion, one step ahead of empathy, or a deeper level of empathy, means you will have a desire to help the person who is suffering. So these are the foundation values of civil services. Okay, now these are the foundation values that the civil servant should have with them, with that particular civil servant. Okay, so I hope now it is clear to you what is exactly aptitude, what is exactly attitude, and what are the 5 ethical traits or 5 ethical values of a civil servant, like integrity, compassion, accountability, objectivity, and selflessness. And what are the recommendation, or what are the 7 Nolan principle, and what are the 10th report of second administrative reform commission speaks about the different foundation values of civil services. So with this, I'm ending this session. Hope you like this session. So thank you very much.